Hello, and welcome to Health and Fitness Redefined. I'm your host, Anthony Amen. Join me today as we take a dive into the world of health and fitness. We're going to overcome adversity to pick the fact versus fiction and see health and fitness in a whole new light. Opening the show like we do every week, guys, since we started our online training program over at Redefined Fitness. We have two online options right now for all of you guys. First one is if you want an all-encompassing training program, you want to use the equipment around you, or maybe you don't just have a local park. We're going to develop programs for you all through our Redefined Fitness training app. That is an all-inclusive work with the trainer one-on-one to take your fitness goals to the next level. The second program we offer, which is totally relevant to today's episode, is an online nutrition program done through me, where I'm going to track every single thing you eat through our app. We're going to log, we're going to follow, we're going to get you eating right and healthy. This is not a diet program. As you all know, I absolutely hate that word diet. It's all about habit forming and creating a lifestyle change. So this is going to hop into kind of what we're talking about today. And I figured before I introduce this guest, we're going to go talk about greens. What a boring word. I know all of you are super excited. So let's talk about greens today. And no one wanted to listen. But it's all right, because this is probably the most informative episodes that we've had to date. So without further ado, let me welcome to the show Adi. Adi, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I'm excited to be here.
I love talking about greens and plants, and maybe it's the gardener in me. I don't know. But I think it's exciting. But before we talk about that topic in general, let's just tell us a little bit about yourself and how, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, guys, how she created this greens smoothie powder right here. So how did we get here?
Well, it's a long story, but to make it more, concise, I started my health and wellness and fitness industry really when I was in the military, like over 10 years ago. And when I was in the military, I don't know if anybody listening has ever eaten at the cafeteria in the military, but I say that it's like prison food. It's like very not healthy and not delicious food at all, because they're making it for the masses. They're making 3,000 breakfast meals all at once. How could they make something extremely nutritious? They really can't. And they are obviously making it 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And when I was in the military, I started to have really bad gut health issues, terrible bloating, terrible digestion, to the point where I was only going to the bathroom 1 time a week, which is like really gross. It's like your body is not eliminating the waste that you are consuming. And I looked like I was 5 months pregnant when I wasn't. Super bloated. I tried everything. I tried eating more fiber and drinking more water and exercising more. And it felt pretty embarrassing because I was a fitness instructor for combat soldiers. So for me to be experiencing such terrible stomach problems, I felt like, how is this happening to me, and what can I do to fix it? And when I finished my military contract, I started doing a lot of research around gut health, around digestion, around poop. Like, what is poop? Do we poop enough? I know it's not a sexy topic, but like, if you think about it, when you don't poop, you feel like crap, which is, pun intended. But that's really what got me interested in looking for an alternative solution. And I kept reading in all of these books about different herbs and plants that could help with the cleansing process of the body and detoxification and gut health. So I went to my local Whole Foods and looked for all of these herbs, these teas, these things that these books were mentioning. And I bought everything that said detox and cleanse. And I tried them all and nothing worked. And that is when I started speaking to formulators, speaking to manufacturers about what is wrong with these formulas, and how can I create a formula that will actually cleanse and detox my body of the waste that I've been accumulating. And it took me a while, but I created a formula. And that was my first product, which is called our 30-day detox program. Our greens was a product that I came out with after the 30-day detox program. And I started that in, Teami started my business in 2014. And that was our first product that we had made. And it kind of just spread like wildfire because it was very, very effective. People like to talk about things that really work. And so they like to share it with their friends and talk about it on social media. And really that's how the company started. And now if we fast forward from, beginning of 2014 to 2022, the business is over 8 years old. We've sold millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of product. And our product is sold in places like Target, Whole Foods, CVS, Blue Mercury, Von Moore, Belk, all these really cool retailers as well. And I developed the greens as part of an answer to the customer question that I kept getting, which is, after I do the 30-day detox program, what do I do to stay healthy every day? Like, how do I stay healthy? And the biggest problem that I was hearing from my customers was that they hated consuming the greens and they did not know how to resolve that problem. And all the greens on the market that they had used tasted terrible, and they had sugar in them or fruit in them. They weren't true greens powder. So that's, in a nutshell, kind of how we got to getting the greens. But it's been such a long journey along the way. Our brand in general is a lifestyle brand, which I think really goes along with what you do, Anthony, and what we help our customers with. Is not a one fix all product. It's really, how can we help you in every area of your life?
Yeah, and a lot of it's habit forming, which is something we say time and time and time and time and time and time again. There's no fix. There's no, I promise you're going to lose this and keep it off for the rest of your life. It's all about these small habits that you can do for the rest of your life to live a longer, happier, healthier life.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm all about the small daily healthy habits that, I feel like they have a compound interest. They all compound on each other, and then you're going to get the result. No one's going to you're not going to use a cream and get rid of your wrinkles like immediately. It's using, natural skincare over time, and then you'll have beautiful skin when you're 50 or when you're 60. And the same goes with your wellness.
Yeah, it's so true. And I love the compounding interest. I'm going to butcher this because I'm winging this off the top of my head, but I want everyone to go and look this up. It's something like, if I offered you $500,000 right now, all cash here, or I gave you a penny and doubled that amount every single day, I believe it's 90 days, you're going to end up having more with that penny thanks to compounding interest as opposed to the $500,000 up front.
Love that.
I'm butchering the numbers. I know I am, but I promise you
the concept's there.
The concept's there. But it's just little victories, which is basically the main point, to help really get yourself right on track, get people moving, get people feeling better, and avoiding those, I'm going to go get liposuction, get the fat out, but I didn't fix my diet or what I'm eating, so I'm going to gain it back. I'm truly not healthier. Anyway, we've gone there a bunch of times. So do like that a lot. I want to talk about, and you mentioned the greens, because like I said, this is what we were going to dive really deep into it. And I'm going to start with my favorite one, and you probably don't even know what it is.
Okay.
Spirulina. And I only mention that because myself suffers from really bad allergies. And I get them horribly. So I was kept doing research about what to help with clearing out my sinuses and feeling better. And everything kind of came back to taking more spirulina. And I did it for, I would say, about 60 days straight. And I did feel a lot better, but I stopped because the taste is just, it's not good. So that's something I want you to kind of talk a little bit about. What are the benefits of spirulina? What are the different types of spirulina there are, and why it's included in this. It's the second one right in the middle. So I want you to kind of
Yeah,
talk a little more about it.
totally. Well, there's green spirulina and there's blue spirulina, and it's actually grown in a lot of different countries around the world. It's one of those plants that it doesn't just grow in one region. You can find it a lot in South America. You can actually find it a lot in, China, Japan, all of the Asian countries as well. And the density of the green phytonutrients in spirulina is very, very high, which is probably why they keep bringing it back to helping with your allergies, because those phytonutrients that you're getting from many greens, but spirulina is just very condensed and has a high ratio of it. It really helps to balance out your immune system, which again brings it back to the allergies. And by consuming spirulina every single day in combination with other greens like wheatgrass and matcha and chlorella, the combination of those greens together help your digestion and help your immunity in an incredible way that people don't even understand until they start taking it consistently.
So what is spirulina? Where do I find it?
Yeah, you can find spirulina, like I said, in all of those different countries around the world. And you can find it in our greens powder, but you can also find it in direct tablets. So you can take little vitamins that are just straight spirulina, and you can take those on a daily basis as well, which I happen to do even on top of taking our Teami greens. And like, you can't really overdose on spirulina or on any of the greens that are inside of this combination mixture, like the ones that you're talking about. All of them are, you couldn't really have enough of them in a day.
Yeah, and just kind of to add to kind of like where I was hinting at is like, where is it? It's algae. So it's found literally, like you said, everywhere in the water, on top of rocks.
Oh, sorry, I didn't understand your question. Like where you find it? Like, yeah, it's like in the ocean. You can find it on, like you said, like they source it from a lot of different places.
Yeah, it's actually a little fun fact about spirulina, and I know this is information, but spirulina has enough density for protein and phytonutrients in it that it can help feed the world with the amount out there currently.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a crazy little like stat. Just that one little tiny green plant that just could feed the entire world. That's how much there is out there.
Wow. See, you know more about it than I do. I
It
did
was the
not.
allergies.
Wow. Yeah, and that's why we decided to make it one of the highest ingredients in this greens, along with wheatgrass, because of the fact that you actually get protein from these greens. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that. Is you're always thinking, oh, I got to take protein powder or I have to eat meat, but a lot of protein comes from plants. You just have to consume more of it in order to get the same grams as you would from salmon, for example, which is a great way to get protein and omega-3s is from fish. But you can get it by also adding it into your smoothie. I had my Teami greens in my smoothie today. So I'm all about adding it where I can.
Yeah, definitely interesting. The next one I think is kind of everywhere in almost every smoothie shop I've ever been to in my life. Well, both of them, but specifically wheatgrass, because that's what you mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting type of plant because I know you have to keep it alive in order to process it. There's some crazy things to it, and the biggest thing being the amount of chlorophyll it has per uh, for the amount it given. I'm blanking on the
Yeah,
word.
right.
But talk to us a little bit about wheatgrass, the benefits of it, and why you recommend taking it.
Yeah, so wheatgrass, if anyone has to have ever taken a wheatgrass shot, it tastes really strong, really hardcore. I was gonna say like it tastes disgusting, but it's really hardcore because it is one of those plants that is a natural detoxifier from your body. So in your body. So when you're taking wheatgrass, it takes like all the toxins in your body and it starts to like flush them out. So when you take a wheatgrass shot, and this has happened to me before when I was younger, I took a wheatgrass shot and I immediately threw up, like immediately.
Wow.
And the reason why that was because my body was like full of sugar, full of toxins. I was not at my healthiest. And the wheatgrass comes in, it's trying to detox and do its job. And if you're eating junk food and full of toxins, you might actually get an instant headache or throw up if you take a condensed amount of straight wheatgrass that's not blended with anything else. Like if you go to a juice shop and you're like, I would just like a wheatgrass shot, and it doesn't have ginger or lemon or cucumber or anything else in it, it's just straight wheatgrass, because it is so powerful and so condensed that it can actually, it's trying to detox you like immediately. And that's also the beauty of it, which is if you take wheatgrass and you start adding it into your daily routine through a powder or through a shot, your body starts to naturally detoxify this waste, and you don't have those symptoms anymore because you're healthier. It's like a baseline of what's in your body and what your body needs to get rid of. And that's why we added wheatgrass in, but we blended it with other ingredients, because our customer base is not a vegan nutritionist or someone that's like on the top of their fitness game. My customer, the Teami customer, is somebody that is looking to take the first steps in their wellness journey. They have no idea. Maybe they want to lose weight. Maybe they're very bloated. Maybe they grew up eating McDonald's all day and they just have no idea where to start. That is my customer. It's I'm starting my first steps, or I want something that's simple that I can take, and doing just a straight shot of wheatgrass or straight spirulina, it's just too difficult for people that are getting started. So that's why I added percentages of these ingredients to blend together. And like you said about the chlorophyll, it's so powerful that these greens are powered by the sunshine. And when they're powered by sun, that means that you're getting so much vitamin D through the plants that grew with the sun. And that's one of the other reasons that I highly believe in plant protein and in eating vegetables and ingredients and plants and herbs that were grown outside, because you're getting all of that nutrients because of the fact that they were grown out in the sun, and it changes the mock-up of the plant when it's grown outside.
Yeah, makes sense. I've always found it interesting, like some places kind of get it fresh and then other ones have it blended in. How do you preserve it, I guess? And are there benefits to eating it more fresh as opposed to getting it more blended in like a powder form?
Yeah, to preserve it, you freeze it. So you can, you get the plant and then you dry it out and then you blend it, it makes a powder, and then you freeze it and then you blend it in with the rest of the ingredients. And yes, there is way more benefits to having something fresh and immediately, and there's nothing that will ever compare to that. However, not a lot of people have access to that. Not a lot of people can go to a juice shop and go get spirulina. Not a lot of people can, if I wanted to make this powder on my own at home, or get all the different ingredients, the broccoli powder, the spinach leaf, the dandelion, all of the ingredients that are in this greens, and I tried to make this powder at home, it would be very expensive and it would take me a long time. So as you know, consumers these days, they need convenience, they need something that's going to work, and they need the work done for them. And so when I am making my smoothie at home, in my Teami Blends e-commerce store, we sell vegan protein powders, we sell a fish collagen, we sell the superfood greens, we sell our Gut Love probiotic powder, and I make superfood smoothies. I put in all these powders into a smoothie, and I'm getting it all in one shot, in one, like I call them boosters. They just elevate and boost my smoothies. And that's what consumers need. And I wish that everybody could go get wheatgrass fresh every single day, but I just don't think it's sustainable. And if we're talking about daily healthy habits, it's something that someone needs to be able to do simply every single day.
Yeah, good answer. The next one kind of to dive into to kind of get the big three is matcha, but I think you knew that. So matcha, one of the little perks that a lot of people know about contains caffeine. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice little pick-me-up, but I don't know if there's a sustainable amount in it to compare it to coffee. But you would know more than I would. Besides that, I don't know much about matcha. That's pretty much where it lies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to leave that one to you.
Yeah, matcha is grown in Japan. And if you're getting matcha that's grown anywhere else, it's not the right matcha because the best matcha is grown in Japan. And it is a green tea powder. And it's super, super strong and condensed in like versus a green tea leaf, which is a different kind of green tea. And this matcha is ceremonial grade. So there's premium grade, there's food grade, and the ceremonial grade is the type that you want to drink like in a matcha latte. The premium grade and the food grade is what you would see in restaurants or in adding it into food-based and culinary grade, not stuff for matcha lattes. And you can tell in the color. If it's more yellowy brown, it's not ceremonial grade. If it's bright, bright green, then you've got the right level of matcha. And matcha has about 35 grams of caffeine. Not grams, sorry, milligrams. Grams of caffeine. Sorry, I was like, I got a little baby brain because I just have a 3-month-old. It's my little new daughter.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. And coffee has more than that in a cup of coffee. Sometimes it's about 50. So it has maybe a 75% of the amount of caffeine that you would get in a regular cup of coffee, black coffee. But the energy that you're getting from it is more sustainable and slow release throughout the day, where when you drink from a coffee bean coffee, it kind of gives you a little bit of a spike, a little bit of a head rush. When you drink matcha, you don't feel that head rush that you do with coffee. It's a slow release caffeine all throughout the day. But it also helps to, boost your metabolism. Matcha is great for your immune system. So it's not just a coffee replacement. It also has the phytonutrients and the antioxidants that most of the time you're not getting from coffee.
Awesome. Thanks for kind of diving in, clearing that up. I want to get a little more into, I know we really hit the big three in there, but I think it's important to kind of take everything back to digestive health because that's kind of where it all started for you, and really talk about the importance of different types of greens and different things you could take to help, and maybe little small steps to help kind of get people back on track and what they should really look for and how they're processing foods. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break from our sponsor, guys, and we will be right back. Stay tuned. For us, we know what it's like to feel unhealthy, depressed, and downright defeated. We want to show others there is a right way, and through fitness, you could do anything you set your mind to. Fitness can give you that motivation, confidence, energy you need to bridge that mental gap and prevent you from missing important life events. We understand it's about feeling better, living longer, and being good examples for our kids. We understand this because we live it. And for us, that's the redefined difference. All right, guys, and welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit more about digestive health and how foods are basically processed in our bodies. We got a little understanding of, okay, we see that these are the three big as far as I see them in my whole food store, my spirulina, my matcha, my wheatgrass. It does benefit me, but how can I really get myself on track? And how can I know if I'm getting enough greens, if I'm really getting my digestive, bacteria in order is the best, easiest way to think about it. And gut health is something we've dove into a little before, and more studies have come out over and over and over and over again. That's actually one of the most biggest things directly related to weight loss. And a lot of people can't lose weight because they have really poor gut health. They're not processing foods efficiently. They're not using them better. Therefore, your body is just storing it as fat. You're getting higher insulin response levels to sugar. So it's just important enough to really get another opinion about how we can get ourselves on track. So I'm going to start with your personal story, which at what point did you realize that, hey, this is related to gut health? Was it just because you were going to the bathroom once a week, or was it anything specific that you reached for first to kind of get yourself moving healthier?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I was seeing that my digestion was just not working, it was very slow. I could see that it affected my mood, my energy. I would break out more. It would affect my skin. And I felt very sluggish, fatigued. It was affecting my whole life. And it really came from digestion. And I tried everything. I drank more water. I ate more fiber. I changed my diet. I exercised more. And those things weren't solving it. And many women, many of my friends would, complain about a similar but different thing where they would say, I cleaned up my diet. I'm eating green salads every day and I'm not eating junk food anymore. And I'm just not losing weight. Like exactly what you said before. And I was realizing that a lot of people, myself included, were trying to, change something in our diet and we're not seeing the results. We're not seeing it impact what we're trying to accomplish. And I really started seeing that if I'm holding on to waste in my body or my digestion is not working properly, then I'm not actually absorbing the nutrients from my food and getting rid of what my body doesn't need. And that is something that us as humans need to be able to do. But most of us, or most Americans, grew up eating pizza and McDonald's and junk food. And maybe at the time, we didn't realize the long-term effects that was going to have on our digestion and on our gut health. But it slowly makes it worse and worse. And then you're at the point where you're consuming food, even healthy food, but your body is not breaking it down and making it into substances that the body can absorb and assimilate in order to have good gut health, have good energy. And it made me very, very passionate about digestion, bloating, gut health, which is kind of what my whole company started from. So it's really, really important. And if you're not seeing results in your fitness, it could, or in your weight loss journey, it really could come down to your gut health and your digestion. I have a lot of products that I've created to help people with that because it's such a big problem out there.
What would be the first place to start? Let's say you just kind of want to see, is it my gut? Because a lot of people, and I mean, this might sound really silly,
Mm.
but we always just complain about stomach aches all the time. And people would think it's their actual stomach, where realistically, a stomach ache is your GI tract. Because
Yeah.
your stomach's a lot higher up than what we think it is. But that's, like I said, it may seem silly, but not realizing that's all kind of related to GI inflammation. And that's where we're really having those issues, not necessarily our stomach.
Yep.
So what would be the first place to kind of start and tell that, hey, I'm eating the right foods, I'm not eating the right foods? What are some signs and symptoms?
Constipation, diarrhea. It can go either way. You could either be very constipated or you could have the runs all the time. And having pain in where you say you're having your stomach ache, where if you're sitting on the toilet for like half an hour and like nothing is happening, and it's a painful process for you, you can tell that all of those are gut health issues. Another symptom or sign is like constant fatigue, where you're like, well, I stopped drinking coffee or I'm drinking more water and I'm exercising, but I'm constantly feeling like I'm wiped out all the time. That could be your gut health and your digestion telling you we're having a hard time breaking down your food. And every time that we try, it makes us more and more tired. And aside from products that I could say, hey, you should be taking digestive enzymes, you should be taking probiotics, you should be having your greens, all of those help your digestion and your gut health. But what I tell our followers and our customers is that you first need to see what you need to eliminate from your diet. For example, red meat is very hard for the body to digest. It can take 8 to 12 hours to digest a piece of red meat. Now, that doesn't mean you need to give up red meat forever. You just want to do an experiment. Don't eat red meat, eat white meat or fish for 2 weeks and see how you feel. And I really recommend 3 things, which is taking a break from red meat, taking a break from gluten, and switching out any soda that you're drinking to water. And even if it's the kombucha, even if it's bubbly, that the carbonated drinks can affect your digestion a lot. So I'm a huge advocate of water, and I drink a gallon of water every single day. I've already had mine today, and I really believe that water can change people's lives. So those are the 3 things that I tell people to kind of experiment with and see how their digestion feels afterwards.
That's interesting because I know the common advice that most people give at that point is the FODMAP diet,
Mm-hmm.
which is based upon different types of sugars that how we digest them. And it's kind of the same thing. It's an elimination diet where we're just kind of cutting out everything, letting our bodies get back to a norm. Like you said, that 2-week mark is generally, and then slowly add back F, add back O, and work your way down to kind of figure out where those triggers are coming from. It is the first time I'm hearing anyone ever mention red meat. And I'm just more curious about why specifically that's a trigger for people.
Have you ever eaten a steak and wanted to take a nap afterwards?
Only when I've eaten too much, which is
Okay, well, most people eat too much, but even, if you're eating more than 6 ounces of steak, for example, that's what someone eats. And I'm not going to get into protein and that conversation because I'm not anti-red meat. I just believe what I've seen with our clients, with our customers, is that the amount of energy that your gut needs to expend in order to break down the red meat, especially if it's not organic red meat and it has hormones inside of it, it can take a toll on the digestive system if your digestive system is not working at its best capacity. So let's just say you grew up eating McDonald's and pizza and your gut health is terrible. It's already terrible. You put on top of that red meat and more processed foods, it's already not the strongest gut health system to break down these foods. And you need to be able to give yourself a little bit of a break in order for it to reset, give it a little bit of a clean slate, and then you can add back in red meat afterwards. But I've seen major success with my friends, our customers, just from taking out red meat for a very short amount of time and letting the body kind of kickstart again.
Are there any specific types of red meat? Because you got different types of animals. So was there anything more specifically with it, or it's just in general?
It's just curiosity. From what I've seen, it's just red meat in general. It takes 8 to 12 hours to digest a piece of red meat versus 7 to 8 hours of white meat. And obviously fruits and vegetables get digested in 25 minutes. So that's why when you eat some watermelon, you're go to the bathroom 30 minutes later because it just digests very quickly. There's a lot of water in them. The body can break them down very, very easily. And if you're already having tummy problems and you're already having troubles breaking down your food, adding red meat on top of that, it's just going to make it harder for you. So by taking it out, you're giving your body a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a break so that you can better absorb the nutrients from your food.
Interesting. I like hearing different opinions about different things because it really just shows, I think, this the kicker on top of everything in our industry, that most things we understand, and then some things are just we don't really know. And then this is kind of we learn as we go kind of phenomenon with it. And that's the kind of beauty of everything. And I love one thing you mentioned earlier, and you're talking about fiber, which is really interesting because that's always my go-to is eat more fiber, which obviously is heavily found in fruits and veggies. So the theory behind it is in order to get more fiber into your diet, you have to have more fruits and veggies to hit your numbers. Otherwise, it's just not possible. And that's going to help prevent certain insulin spikes and that kind of stuff. So, but you mentioned it didn't work, and I want to tell a story and then kind of have your input on it.
Okay.
So fiber usually helps people. And I mean by that, it helps. Most people don't get enough. I think the average American gets anywhere from 5 to 10 grams. It's like really ridiculously low.
Oh my
When
gosh.
really you should be between like 35 and 40 per individual, because that's really what helps push things out. It's indigestible. That's what gets it going. But I'm going to add a but, and this is where the story comes in. I had a few individuals that having too much fiber actually caused worse GI inflammation and caused more swelling, more bloating. And I don't know, because this is not my area, whether it's poor gut health that now all of a sudden you're introducing higher amounts of fiber that's causing this trigger, or it's the fiber in of itself in general causing that inflammation.
Yeah, it's so unique to each person, but what I can tell you about why it didn't work for me and how I explain it to other people is that I had accumulated so much waste in my body. And so much waste is the best word to describe it. It's like trash. It's like not, it's what the body should be getting rid of, but it's not. It's stayed in my stomach and stayed in my gut. And what happens is that imagine like a big, massive rock being where, my digestion should be. And then you're trying to add fiber on top of it, but it's trying to move down, but it's trying to push down on this rock, which is a solid object, and it can't permeate through it to like go through the system. It's not like a nice little lake. It's just a rock. And when I was trying to add fiber, eat healthier foods, it wasn't going through because it had this rock as this barrier, this obstacle in the way. And that is why I needed to do a major detox to break up that rock. I needed it not to be so solid. I needed my body to break up all this waste and to remove it. And once I developed our 30-day detox program and used the program myself, you would be shocked at how much poop left my body. Like you would have thought that I had not pooped in like 5 years, but it was, I'm just being honest. Like that's how much came out of me. And I'm not some overweight person. And so much waste came out of my body. When I finished the 30-day detox, I felt like a fucking butterfly. I was like floating around. I felt amazing. And then all the healthy foods, all the fiber was actually working because it didn't have this big, massive rock in the way.
I'm sitting here laughing, and it's only because I have this visual in my head right now that if you ever had a colonoscopy and they make you drink this horrible tasting, disgusting drink, and then you literally have never pooped so much in your life in that 24 hours. Like you're like, how is there possibly anything left in my body? So then I was thinking and made a little connection kind of into your story. Well, if you're doing a 30-day detox to kind of clear out your GI tract, what if you just drank what they give you for colonoscopies as a one-time clean out? But then I'm thinking that sounds disgusting, and then I have nothing left in my gut to even work off of. But this is where I was going with it. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I wouldn't want someone to do that because it just tastes bad, and I'm just not a fan of it. But the idea is not wrong. The idea is to get rid of the waste in the body so that you can add your greens, you can add your protein, you can get the nutrients from your foods. And that's what number one, people aren't eating the right foods, but when they are eating the right foods, is their body absorbing it? And that's key.
Yeah, and I just full disclosure, I do not recommend doing that. What I said.
Yeah, cancel that, guys, listeners. This is not what we think you should do.
Yeah, just thinking outside the box right here, but not something I recommend. And I like the analogy of kind of resetting your gut bacteria. A lot of people don't know there's millions of different types of bacteria inside our gut, and when we see the term probiotic, it's usually filled with one type of probiotic as opposed to the billions that there are in there to help give the balance, because we need bacteria in our GI tract. That's how we break down foods. It's what's the word called? Synergistic relationship that we have with the bacteria. And then when we get bad bacteria that we're all used to, that's what gets us sick down. We take an antibiotic, but that's the reason when you take an antibiotic, you're actually killing both the good and the bad. The antibiotic doesn't go, you're good. I'm not killing you. You're bad. It has no idea. So
Totally. And that's the probiotics that we have at Teami are 7 different strains because of the fact that you need the different strains of the probiotics in order to have that diversity, that gut diversity.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm going to kind of start getting this kind of wrapped up in a nice little clean bubble for us. So I'm going to ask you specifically, if you were just somebody, I mean, you're looking to get started, you're looking to just go to the grocery store, what's like the first veggie I'm looking at? Where am I going? What am I picking up?
Yeah, I always say celery. I eat celery every single day and I juice it at home. And it is one of those veggies that you actually burn more calories eating it than you do consuming it. I love celery as a snack or as juicing, but number 2 is always going to be avocados. But some people, consider them a fruit, but I eat 1 avocado every single day, and I have been for years. I can't live without my good fats in my avocado.
I think we consume more guacamole in this house than the average person. Just ridiculous how much we go through.
You just can't be wrong. You can't make a wrong move. Guacamole is the best. I love anything avocado. If I ate like 5 avocados in a day, I'd be fine. I love it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's amazing, and it's high of unsaturated fats, as we talked about. It's filling in that aspect. Doesn't keep you hungry like celery, I guess, if that's all you're having for like a snack. But it's definitely something important. So I'm going to ask you the last 2 questions I ask everybody is, if you were to summarize this episode in 1 or 2 sentences, what would be your take-home message?
Probably to ensure that you are using the superfoods that you're consuming in such a way that your body is absorbing them. So make sure that you're prioritizing your gut health so that you can consume the nutrients from the superfoods, like the greens that we talked about in this episode, and prioritize the nutrients that you aren't getting from your foods. If you are not a big lover of eating greens, that is why you need to add superfoods. So if you're already, that that's not what you're getting, that's why you need to add it in a supplement however you can.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And then final question, the easiest one of all, how can people find you, get a hold of you, give us all the good stuff?
You can find me personally on Instagram at Adi Arezzini, but you can find my company's Instagram at Teami Blends, which has over 1 million followers. We have a great community out there of people looking to improve themselves, and you can DM us in either spot. I always answer my DMs, and we do also on Teami. We're always happy to hear from new people.
I love it. And thank you guys for joining us on this week's episode of Health and Fitness Redefined. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button and join us next week as we dive deeper into this ever-changing field. And remember, fitness is medicine. Until next time.